friend. And well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Wednesday. It is that time again, that same bat time, same bat station. This is your boy Cup of Joe, and this is the Cup of Joe morning show. And listen, we're on Real Talk 100 Radio, guys, and we definitely want you to tune in while you're here. We definitely appreciate you watching on this Facebook Live, but we also are going live on Real Talk 100 Radio right here on Facebook. And are we also doing it on another platform?
Yes, sir. We're live on YouTube and Twitter.
And we're live simultaneously on YouTube and Twitter. So before we really get started, we're going to say thank God for a brand new day. Tag a friend to what I'm about to say. How about that? I'm always trying to be ugly. Tag a friend, because we're going to be talking about it, guys. And we always believe that, our intent is to bring some goods, man, information that can change your situation, or what we call news that you can use. And man, it's the end of the year. So it's a lot of things we're going to talk about on how to transition from one year to the next. That's what we're going to be talking about today. How to transition from one year to the next and not duplicate the mistakes of last year, the mistakes of last month, the mistakes of last week. We need to start learning from our mistakes, and we're going to talk about all that. Nothing scripted here, guys. We're going to go straight from the top of this big old dome, man. But it's so much we want to talk about. I do believe it's going to be pertinent. Again, how do we transition from one year to the next? Now, before we get started, before we really get into any kind of context, I want to take a moment to, again, always appreciate my man who's rocking this thing behind the scenes, in front of the scenes in some cases, none other than the proprietor of Real Talk 100 Radio, the dude I call Malcolm Action Jackson. Some people call him Malcolm in the middle. You know
yes,
what I'm saying?
Sir.
But this is Jackson, Malcolm Jackson. Man, what's going on with you, partner?
Hey, man, it's been a great week, man. A great week so far. And I'm trying to end it on a good note, a high note.
Well, we're going to do that.
Positive note. And it starts today with a Cup of Joe. It is hump day.
Always hump day when we get on here, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Come on, man.
It's hump day every time Cup of Joe is in the building. And that gives us 2 more days in the work week. And we're going to end it with a bang.
There we go. Well, guys, listen. Again, man, we come here not for fortune or fame, or not for trying to make our name great. We're coming here to be a help in the community, to be a help in our community. And with that, we believe that the information that we're sharing on this broadcast, it's information that I believe that if applied, it could go a long way towards changing some of the dynamics that we're dealing with. That if we are honest with ourselves, we can say that I'm not happy with some of the things that have gone on, right? And it's this time of the year that most people get into the mindset of reviewing what happened the previous year in anticipation of what they're going to be doing for the next year. I'm here to tell you a couple of principles that I've learned and I'm applying, and it just works, man. I mean, when I speak of these principles, we're talking about principles that have been proven to work. And when I first heard them, they were somewhat foreign to me because I hadn't known about them, hadn't been in the practice of utilizing them. But once I started putting them in practice, it made such a big difference in how we transition from 1 year and close out the 1 year to moving to the next year. And then once you understand those principles, you can start applying it on a month-to-month basis, transitioning from 1 month to the next month. So we won't keep duplicating year after year, month after month, the same less than good practices that have been getting us the same results that we're literally complaining about. But unfortunately, some of us guys are likening to, there's a story I heard years ago about this dog, man. You know, I'm gonna talk about this dog real quick.
Come on with the dog, Joe.
Man, I know, man. I don't mean to talk bad about dogs, man. I'm a dog lover. All right, let me set this straight so y'all can see who y'all working with. There we go. Listen. Hey, go to Real Talk 100 Radio because we're actually live and it's a different setup than what you guys are seeing on my personal Facebook Live. It just gives you the more view. See, y'all can't see Tupac on my left, but there go Pac, right? But listen, here's some of the things that I've learned, and let's talk about this the old dog on the porch, right? Imagine there's a story about an old dog, man, that's on the porch, and all he's doing all the day long is moaning, as if he's in excruciating pain and discomfort. And there's an old man who owns that dog, and every time a visitor comes, they notice and hear the dog moaning, and they're like, "Sir, your dog is keeping up a lot of ruckus. He looks like he's really in pain. Maybe we ought to go and see after him." Mm-hmm. And the owner is like, "Man, don't worry about that dog. That dog is always up there moaning like that." And he said, "Well, what do you mean he's just always up there moaning? He sounds like he's in pain." And he said, "He probably is, because he's laying on a nail. All he got to do is get up." Right? See, Malcolm, my stories, man, aren't really that deep. They're just making a point, right? Yes. Because we are likened sometimes to that moaning dog.
The same dog.
We're like that dog. We don't like our situation that we're in. It's poking and prodding us, and all we're doing is moaning and complaining about it all the time.
That's right.
And people are coming up going like, "Man, why is Joe," and they don't say this about me, hopefully, but they say, "Why is Joe always, moaning and complaining and pissing and moaning?" It's because he's got something that's paining him. But God is like that old man saying, "Don't worry about him. All he got to do is move. Right. All he got to do is get up and do something different." That's right. And then he won't be in a position to be in pain and moaning and trying to make people, or not that he's trying, but he's making people feel sorry for him. Listen, in this day and age, guys, let's keep this real and keep it 100. People are not feeling sorry for us because we're going through what we're going through. Because guess what? You may not know them personally enough to know that they're going through the same thing. Yes. Or they have gone through the same thing and they've gotten out of it. That's right. So let's not be that old dog on the porch moaning about how things aren't good. And then we talk about, hey, let's set some principles in place that we can now, as opposed to replicating what happened last year, or duplicating what happened last year, how about we get some energy, some positive energy towards, let's see what we can do different than we did last year so we can get different results this year than we got last year. But there's so many psychological dynamics in play, because as easy as it is for me to say, change what you're doing to get what you want. But people are so stuck. A lot of people are so stuck in their way of doing things that when something new comes to them, the first thing they do is reject it because it's unfamiliar to them. Or they'll reject it because they just don't believe it's for them. And I'm here to tell you, it may not be for you as you are now, because you're that moaning dog on the porch complaining about how you don't like what life is giving you. So if somebody comes and offers you something to say, "Hey, man, get up off the nail. Here is something that can help you get up off the nail," and you reject it because you say, "No, I am comfortable lying in the position I'm in," right? Keep this analogy going, because this is some of us. We're complaining about stuff, but the solution comes, we don't agree with the solution, or it doesn't resonate with us, and we say, "Nope," or "I tried that already. No disrespect. I tried that already. That ain't gonna work for me." And I'm here to tell you guys, sometimes some things require a second look. And I speak from personal experience. The first time someone brought something to me, be it an idea or a concept, when I first heard it, it was somewhat foreign to me because it wasn't part of my personal best practices, as it were. You know what I mean? It was just not what I was accustomed to doing. Now, let me set the proper expectations with this conversation. I'm not saying taking advice or getting opportunities put to us from people that we don't see that it's working for them. Right. In other words, I don't trade places with anybody. I don't take advice from anyone that I'm not willing to trade places with. So if you're looking like you're broke, busted, and disgusted, right? Somebody said, aren't you bitter about the situation? Come on, Marvelous Marvel. Yeah. If you're bitter enough about the situation, shouldn't that be enough impetus to say, I'm open now for solutions to my situation? But unfortunately, that situation doesn't just have a physical bondage, it has a mental and emotional bondage attached to it. So again, I don't trade places. I don't take advice from people I wouldn't be willing to trade places with. But if someone who is successful in whatever manner and whatever industry and whatever capacity that they're successful in, I'm going to listen to what they have to say, even if I, in the beginning, middle, and end of it, don't agree that it's for me. I keep all options open because I don't know if I tell this guy, for instance, I'll use my buddy Sam Bean, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind. He's going to be a guest on here maybe next week or the week after, but I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about with this. And it wasn't that me and Cindy were in such a bad way, but I know there's always a more excellent way. So I have a buddy named Sam Bean, right? We call him the economic, what is that? The economic equalizer. You can find him on Facebook. And Sam approached Cindy and I about an opportunity to join his investment club, right? One thing I know about Sam, right, is that he's ultra serious about business, personal relationships, personal development, right, and helping people. So the last thing that I would do is, when he approached me, the last thing I would do is show no interest and cut him off and say, hey, man, I got too much on my plate right now, bro. That would be idiotic. And I'm saying idiotic from my perspective, for me to reject the information and say no to it before I even know what the information is. That is what I refer to as a poverty mentality. It's very subtle, but it's also very, what's the word? It's very insidious, in the sense that it's not our conscious mind rejecting it. It's literally our subconscious. It's coming up out of our subconscious. We don't even know what the dude is talking about. And we just say, nope, I don't want to hear it because I got too much. See, that's to me, and I'm not speaking of anyone else. I'm speaking to me and about how I think about it. I look at it that if this guy is doing something that I deem to be at a higher level than me, for whatever reason, and again, I'm using Mr. Bean as an example. Good morning. This is live radio, ladies and gentlemen. I use Mr. Bean as an example. If he's doing something that I deem to be, at a higher level, better results that my family and I could see as something we would like to do, then my posture with him should be like a sponge absorbing the information, because that's what business people do. That's what successful people do. We take the information in, we process the information, and then once the information is processed, we now spit out a decision, right? We spit out a decision based on the information that we received. Now, this is, to me, it's granular. It happens on every level, right? I don't mean just somebody coming to me, talking to me about a business idea. It could be, and this is what me and my wife talk about sometimes, because I'm terrible with this, but it's just how I'm wired, is what I'm saying. I'll hear something. It may not resonate at the moment that I hear it, but I have a CPU that it runs through. And I didn't choose to be this way. It's just the way my mind works. So when I hear something, I may not agree with it. Now I have to do better with, especially with my wife, on not giving the expression or giving her the impression that I'm rejecting the information, because I'm not rejecting it from Sam Bean. I'm not rejecting it from Emmanuel Bernstein. I'm not rejecting information when I hear it from people like Baz Grant. Of course not, because I see them as people doing something in a greater capacity than I am. But I'm even learning, guys, that what we're doing, what I'm talking about doing here on this business level, is even more so important to do it on a personal level. if you follow what I'm saying. So when the information is heard, it may not be something that resonates with me, but I'm learning to let it process and then make a decision based on that, as opposed to openly rejecting it and literally, to the point I was making with someone like Mr. Bean, running the risk of Mr. Bean saying, Cup of Joe is a closed-minded cat. I'm not going to bring anything else to him unless, of course, he opens his mind to opportunities. Because one thing that I know about successful people that are ultra successful, they don't need you for their success. They're coming to you because they believe their success can be a catalyst to help you to get up out of your situation. Remember the dog on the nail. They're not coming thinking, hey, I want you in my business, this business opportunity, because I believe, Joe, you'll blow this thing up and you'll help me and Kim make all this money. Him and Kim are already making all this money. Even before, listen, even before in this opportunity, if it's so new and they're not making money, their track record, their history with me is that whenever they get started in a opportunity, be it a company that they launch themselves or they're launching with another group of entrepreneurs, they have a track record of massive success. I mean, literally multi-million-dollar income. So I would be foolish on my end, and I'm hoping that someone else can hear what Cup of Joe is saying. I would be foolish. It would be foolish on my end to reject it and literally say no before I know, KNOW, what it is that he's talking about, because visionaries can see beyond their circumstances, right? And trust me, visionaries, true visionaries, can even see beyond your circumstances. If they love you, they have that proximity. They know you well enough, right? So with that being said, I hope this is making sense, that I don't want to be the moaning dog on the porch complaining about my life. And then when an opportunity comes, because it doesn't come in the manner or in the way that I even thought it should come, or the way that I prayed for it, right? Then I reject it. So I'm gonna say this because this is what goes on every single year. Every year at about this time, I celebrate it with a rhyme. Remember that? You don't remember that. You're too young. I remember Curtis Blow. But every year at about this time, people are opened up to say, hey, I don't like the way 2023 went. And didn't it go in a blur? Because we're now in December. We're in the first week of December. The last 24, 25 days of 2023 are here. What did we do this time last year? Think about it. What did we hear from, what was the atmosphere of our friends and family and business associates? Weren't many people around this time last year, as they are again this year, and are basically in this capacity every year, evaluating what they did in this year? And now I'm gonna make this my best year, my new year, new me, and all these different monikers we come up with. And people even do New Year's resolutions and all that. And we're gonna sort of like pitch on that a little bit, because I'm not one to do New Year's resolutions, because I realize that most New Year resolutions that people make, it loses energy by the middle of January. By the end of January, and certainly by the beginning of the beginning of February, whatever that thing was that had them so excited, it had fizzled out to the point that there's no activity on it. There's no positive energy being given to it. And unfortunately, that's how most people start their new year, off what we see to be like a little ether of hype that it's the new year, so let me make some plans. And let me say this to you. If it's now December 6th and you're just now considering, hear what I'm about to say. If you're just now considering what your new year is going to bring you, because you're going to do something different, if you're just now doing it in the first week of December, you have already set yourself back for the next year. Hear what I'm saying? This is something that needs to have been done in the third quarter of the previous year, right? The beginning of the third quarter, which is to say, we should have been on this at the latest, putting this into motion at the latest in September, October at the latest. We don't want to wait until December to get to the point that now we're thinking about and putting our energy towards how we're going to improve our next year, right? So we got to do better. I'm going to close this door, man. Excuse me. Live radio. So what we're saying is, how do we, and what is the mindset that one should have to have a not only a positive outlook for the new year, but how do we make something a plan that's sustainable from month to month, let alone year to year, right? If we put some best practices in place, we're looking at the whole year, but we're going to break it down to a daily basis and sometimes even a moment to moment basis, right? Once you put a plan together, and we'll talk about that in a moment, how to put together a plan. Once you put a plan together, a plan with no implementation is likened unto an automobile with no gas. We must put fuel in that fire in order for that fire to grow. We must put wood in that stove in order to get heat. To think that we're going to get heat just because we have the wood in one place and we have the stove here and we got the lighting mechanism. In other words, we have everything we need to bring forth some heat, but we don't put no wood into the stove and we don't light the wood. And that's simple analogy because we don't even think like that because we don't light stoves that way. Now we got electric stoves and we of course got gas lit stoves and all that. But imagine in this scenario, getting heat is likened unto getting the results that you want, right? If you don't put the wood in other words, if you don't put the work in, and the lighter is that the pilot is like that internal fire that's going to drive you and spark you to put the work in. If you're not doing that, then how dare us think that in any way we should get something different than what we've always gotten? Because in actuality, we're doing what we have always done. We have always gotten excited at the end of the year and then failed through on any plan that we set forth because we set a plan based on emotions. And unfortunately, when it comes to emotions change, right? The fuel that what fueled you in your emotional state, when that emotion dies down, unfortunately, so does your commitment to what you said when you were emotional, right? So it's important to understand that we don't want to do this thing out of sheer emotions. We want to do this based on principles, right? Principles don't change. Matter of fact, principles are so dope that it doesn't matter what industry, doesn't matter what area of life, if it's applicable in this area, you'll find that principle is probably also applicable in this area here. Though these two areas seem to be totally unrelated, but guess what? They all surround you. You know what I mean? So the reality again is, what do we do? What is our mindset when it comes to finishing up a year and starting off our new year right? The best analogy that I can give on this, Malcolm, and I know I might just be spitballing, or what they call just, I'm not rambling. Hopefully I'm not just rambling. Hope this is making sense.
Making plenty of sense. Plenty of sense. We have one person on. Hold your thought for
just
a minute. Mm-hmm. We have Miss Arsenio Jenkins. Miss Arsenio Jenkins, please put where you're listening from, ma'am, and please share in your town, in your state. This is the Cup of Joe Morning Show. Thank you.
Oh, is she on?
Yes, she's watching us right here and commenting. She's not yet commenting on subject.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she was okay. I didn't hear the phone ring, so I thought you were saying she was on the line. But I got you. Yes. Perfect. Yes. So yeah, dear. The fire comes within. That's why I refer to it as a pilot light, right? And oh, great. And now, oh, thank you, honey. This is what my wife does for me, man. She opens my mind up on certain things that I'm talking about. Most of us can't relate to a potbelly stove that we have to put wood into and then light it. We can't relate to that. We can relate better to turning a knob on the dial of our oven, of our stove, and hearing that tick, 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 tick. If your pilot light is out, the little flame, even when the gas is released, the energy is released, there's no flame, right? Sometimes it requires someone else to come and light your pilot. You dig what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to you got to have your pilot light lit. But that's why I believe so strongly in, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. If my brother sees that for whatever reason, and I'm talking with him about this, and I'm saying my brother, it can be any person, but I have people in my life that are successful in what they do. It may be totally unrelated to what I do, But success does leave clues. Doesn't matter if they're into shipping, if they're into real estate, if they're in mortgages, if they're in script writing, if they run a radio show, a radio station, it doesn't matter what the endeavor is. We'll find that the principles of success translate and transfer very well from industry to industry, right? So if I have a person that I confide in, that I trust, that person can help me relight my pilot. Because without that pilot being lit, man, all you're going to have is the smell of gas, man, which could be dangerous. And then if the gas is left running and then that fire starts, that could be an explosion. And we don't necessarily want that. That's an analogy, but it's more thinking about how do we stay in the right mindset. Even if we veer off, it's good to have accountability partners, is I guess what I'm saying. Someone that you trust enough that they can tell you, Cup of Joe, what you're doing with this radio broadcast. I understand you wrote a book in 2023, a lot of firsts, but what are you going to do to take that and build upon that and take it to another level for the next year? My accountability partner, and that person can be your wife, it can be a business partner. My biggest accountability partner happens to be Cindy Anita Humphrey, right? Just happens to be because she's my wife. And she's a business-minded person, as I am, right? She doesn't see herself as a salesperson, but she knows how to, build relationships. And that's really what sales is, okay? But the point is, you have to have some people in your life that you trust that can get you back onto the beaten path when you find yourself mentally off that path, right? So the first thing I think is important with starting your new year off in a right way, right? And this is like, guys, it's just what it is. It's like saying Tuesday follows Wednesday. Most of us would not disagree with that, right? Most of us would not disagree that I said Tuesday follows Wednesday. Wednesday follows Tuesday. See, some of y'all agreed with it. What is that information called? What is it called, Malcolm? Misinformation.
Misinformation.
Because
the sister of who?
Of information. See, Wednesday follows Tuesday. Tuesday does not follow Wednesday. So that's more of me with the Freudian slip. But the point is, once something is ironclad, it's just as obvious as the days of the week and the succession of those days, right? So here's what I'm going to say. How do you start your new year off strong? Here is the number one thing you must do. You must finish the current year off strong. And whatever thing that you say that you want to do in 2024, man, do it now. Start now. Don't start in 2024. Start now. And when I say now, again, if we're starting on December 6th, 2023, we're 2 or 3 months behind the progress. We're 2 or 3 months behind the milestone standard that successful people will tell you that it's etched in stone, that you're going to want to put your new year plan, not new year resolution, your new year game plan together and get it formulated and literally ready to present by the beginning of the fourth quarter of the year prior to the new year. In other words, you should have this game plan written up and set out, vetted out by September, at the latest October. So you're not waiting until January to the Gregorian calendar to click over from December 31st, 2023 to January 1st, 2024 to start moving. That's likened unto, think about this, guys. That's likened unto, let's use the analogy of a relay track team, right? We got a track team that's doing the 4x100, right? The first leg of that relay, they're down in the blocks. All of them. Everyone starts the same. Follow the analogy. We all have the same 24 hours in each day. We all have the same 52 weeks in each year. We all have, 365 days a year to get whatever done that we're going to get done. So time should never be an excuse for why you couldn't get something done if someone else who had no excuse, but they got it done. It wasn't the time, it was the mind. And I've been on that, Malcolm, because that's what I really truly believe, right? So the relay starts with the first leg down in the block. They go and rush, run to get the momentum for the team. The second leg of the race is run by a different runner. He or she does not start off in the blocks. They're standing. Matter of fact, when it's a zone that they run through, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. There's a zone that they run through that is like a transfer zone. They're waiting and they'll reach their hand. You can't see me, but I'm reaching my hand back to say, and they'll say hand. You reach your hand back and they pass you the baton. So you're already in an upright running position. You do the same thing for the third leg of the race. They are not starting in a sitting or standing position down in the blocks. They are poised. They're in a standing position, but they're poised that once you near them as the second runner, the second leg nears the third leg, in that zone, the third leg takes off running. It's called momentum, guys. Takes off running, and there's a communication. Hand, boom. You put the hand out, boom. They put the baton firmly into your hand. You grab it, and then you run through your zone. So the new year should be likened unto a relay race where you're passing the baton from 2023 to 2024. If you're doing it in a seated position, you're not going to get the momentum, the same velocity, the same speed as you would get if you were in an up running position. That's the best analogy on why successful people are successful from year to year, and unsuccessful people do the same thing. They start every year in zone one. I mean, zone one is where you're in the blocks. Don't start in the blocks. Start in a running position, waiting, if you're waiting, anticipating for the baton to be passed. And by the time 2024 rolls around, I would have been 2 months into the things that I'm wanting to pop off in 2024. If you think I'm just talking and I'm not making any sense to anybody, why do you think I wrote a book? This book is not for anything but 2024, 2025, because there's a big plan with this book. And I'm not even charging people for it. It's not like it's a book I'm trying to make profit on, right? It's a marketing plan and strategy, a schematic that's a long-term play. But understand, this was done and this book was completed in September. Is it a coincidence? Maybe.
No.
Maybe. Look, I'm doing it. Maybe not. You know? So the point is, you want to run through the new year, right? Hey, my baby girl, how can you get the book? Just text me your email and I'll get you the book. As Marvelous Marv, you know, I will get that book to you as well. And while I'm on it, the book is actually, I know it's inverted over here, but it's called A Guide to Financing Your Biggest Life Purchase by yours truly, Joseph Cup of Joe Humphrey. And I had to put, because it is a book that's marketed, I have to put my MMLS number on here. So it's a legitimate book, has some great insight on what every potential home buyer must know in order to make this navigate through these shark infested waters of home buying. You know, take all the pain away, at least alleviate most of the pain and frustration. But we'll definitely get that to you. But to the analogy, we want to close out this year in an up running position. Let's not do what a lot of people tend to do, because it's the holiday season. Let's be 100. During the holiday season, most people take time off. Most people are in chill mode, right? Because Thanksgiving was the beginning of the holiday season. We ate a lot during Thanksgiving, right? We go through the same ritual every year. We say, okay, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna lose weight. And for the new year, it's gonna be a new JoJo. You're gonna see somebody different. when you look at me in 2024, but here I am stuffing my face in the fourth phase of 2023. No disrespect to Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is a time for family, being thankful, and we're thankful every day, and we appreciate family every day. But that holiday is one that traditionally allows people to really get prepared for lethargy, right? Being lethargic. If you don't make a plan, but I had to make a plan. I don't know if everybody else is this way. I had to make a plan, a strategic plan for Thanksgiving, meaning that I did not want to overindulge. I didn't want to now go off my discipline. And if you don't know, if I haven't shared anything with you guys that might be on this broadcast, I've gone out to live healthier, and the process of what I've been doing thus far has allowed me to lose 30 pounds. And I feel so much better, but I wasn't going to allow Thanksgiving to set me back, even though it did set me back a couple of pounds. But that's not the point. That's neither here nor there, right? But the point is, we want to implement action plans and take action during this time. The masses of people are relaxing. They're preparing for Christmas, right? They're preparing for chill relaxation. And I get it, right? I do. I completely get it. But I also know that if you relax and you chill, take time off during the fourth quarter of the year, you're likened unto a relay runner who they're the fourth leg. They're looking to bring it home. They're looking to close out the race. They're looking to close out their year. And they are in a seated position when the third leg runner comes to them. Can you see how drastically dysfunctional and unsuccessful that relay team would be if the fourth leg, and it's real true that if any leg other than the first leg is down in the blocks, they are out of order. They are out of any kind of congruency of any success in that race. They're putting themselves at a total disadvantage because of their mindset and what they've allowed to take place in the physical position you put yourself in, of being in a seated position or in a standstill position, when the pass off should be, I'm up and running so I can run through the tape. I can run through the new year in an up running position. I don't want to wait again till the new year starts and then say, now let's implement what it is, because those plans that are implemented on January 1st, most people refer to them as New Year's resolutions. I just alluded to it. Most of them statistically die off in the first 30 to 45 days, whatever it is. If I said I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to eat like no disrespect, I'm gonna eat like a pig on Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be like a glutton during the Christmas holidays, and I'm thinking somehow miraculously I'm gonna come January 1st with the right mindset, with the right energy, with the right posture to now move forward in my plans. Guess what's gonna happen? I'm gonna do it for a few days and it's gonna be fleeting, because I couldn't get me out of the way. So I know I'm making this a long presentation of information, but understand, you want to start your new year the way, or should I say, you want to finish your current year in the way you want your new year to start. So we got to fight through the holidays and say, nope, I know everybody wants to chill, but I'm on the phones now. I got things that are going on personally that has not allowed me to sleep the last couple of days. And that's a good thing. I don't mean I'm just losing sleep because I'm worrying. I'm losing sleep and sacrificing sleep, I would say, because I'm so excited about what has been placed in my sphere of influence, right? And we may get around to that in the second half of the show. I just have not yet decided if I'm going to bust that thing out and talk with you. But I'm sorry, can you pull up what the young lady was saying? I know we had a comment by
yes,
I apologize.
Miss Arsenio Jenkins is listening in all the way from Sicklerville, New Jersey. Sicklerville, New Jersey. She says she shared the video. Thank you, Arsenio. I'm trying to look for her comment. She says something. She said something to the nature of, "That's right."
I know. I
You
saw
have
it.
to
It
have-
says facts, and it started right. I just saw it. You went by it earlier. Now you're scrolling so fast, my brother. I can't see it. There it is.
Facts. You have to have genuine people in your corner who can recognize when you need an extra spark.
Absolutely. And you know what's how do you pronounce your name again? Is it
Arsenio.
Arsenio? Thank you for that comment because I think that is so true. You know, the old saying is no man is an island unto himself, right? Success, as we always talk about, to me, I'll say it like this: success is a team sport, right? And that's why we get all these cute little quips like teamwork makes the dream work. You know, team is an acronym for together, everyone achieves more. It sounds corny, but it's actually real. It just really is. Most people that we see as successful, even if they're a solo person, we see Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, right? We see these people. You have to understand, man, they're fully insulated with a team of people that's doing things behind the scenes that, you know, they get paid for, trust me, but they don't get a lot of credit from the general population for because they don't know, they're not being seen. The general population doesn't see all the workings going on behind the scenes with big business and big ideas, right? So why not use some of that same concept when it comes to our own financial and economic situation? Why do I have to, come on, y'all, I don't want to get on a soapbox with it, but why do I reject what works on every level, but I don't think it will work on my level? Well, we need to raise our level. We need to level up, right? So hopefully this conversation will help you at least think about it. At least think about some of the things that we do. Because if you know that you're the type of person that does New Year's resolutions and don't see them through, then stop doing New Year's resolutions or see them through. Do something different. Don't do the same thing. And then, especially as us Christians or even Buddhists or even, you know, Islamic folk, if we're praying to God for certain things, I'm a firm believer that if I give Malcolm his keys, can you throw me your keys real quick, bro? So, Malcolm, I'm gonna give you these keys. Yes. This is the keys to the kingdom, Malcolm.
Keys to the kingdom.
So I'm gonna give them to you.
Thank you.
Now, Malcolm, do what most of us do, because most of us don't do that. You know what most of us do? We ask for the keys again. Go ahead, ask me for the keys.
Give me the keys, Joe.
I've already given you the keys.
Yes, sir.
Son.
Yes, sir.
Ask me again. Keep asking me. Just
give me the keys.
Ask
Joe.
me for the keys. No, like
please,
you know.
Please. Can I have the keys?
There you go. Make us a variety, because you know what we do. We don't come the same way. We always come with please give me the keys.
Please give me the keys.
But, I mean, it'd be nice if I got those keys.
Right.
What about those keys, Pop?
What about the keys? I need the keys.
I've already given you the keys. You already have them. So, guys, the the gist of that goofy little interaction with me and my brother Malcolm is let's stop asking God for stuff he's already given us.
Right.
That's what the Bible says. We're praying amiss. We're missing it because he's already given you what you're asking for, right? And now you continue to ask for it. Now, a natural parent would probably get irritated and say, boy, I done gave you the keys. Didn't God say that to Moses?
Yes, sir.
Take what you have in your hand. He asked him, he said, what is that you have in your hand? He said, it's just my staff. He said, well, take that staff and do my wonders. I tell that to realtors, right? Seriously, I tell that to realtors, what is that in your hand? I mean, who is these people? This is my staff. Well, take this staff and go do my wonders, says God.
Go do it.
We have what we need
at your disposal and don't even use it.
And we don't use it because we devalue what we have because we haven't used it. That's the thing. I have no value in my mind to a jigsaw that is sitting in my, even though I know it has value, it has no usage. So my perception of its value is lessened because I don't use it. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I got the tool, but if I'm not utilizing the tool, it's a tool in my toolbox, but I don't value it that much because it hasn't got me out of any situations because I don't use it. But if you have a tool and you use it, and you see that it works. You value that tool. Matter of fact, some people will say, man, why are you still using those little tools? Man, you should go and get, this, that, or the other. You're like, man, these tools work perfect for me. They've got me out of a lot of binds. Our tool kit, as it were, is literally the thoughts and ideas and concepts that we have stored up in our big box up here. Some of us don't use them, so we don't value them. But if we ask someone for that, they'll say, you already got it. Right. It'd be like me going to somebody and say, hey, man, can you teach me how to be, show me how to be more excited like you are sometimes, man. Show me how to. And they'll be like, dude, every time I talk to you, you always excited. The excitement is not the issue. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps you just need to implement some things differently, right? Because many of us suffer from what we call, I hate to say it, y'all. It is the biggest nation. It's bigger than Facebook Nation. It's bigger than social media. And that's how many people are on Facebook? It's millions, if not billions of people, right? Worldwide. Well, there's a nation of people, man, that's bigger than United States, bigger than Facebook Nation, bigger than Twitter Nation. And it's called procrastination. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest stealer and thief of our prosperity, is our nature to procrastinate, to put things off, as opposed to doing it now. A wise person told me, and his name is Cup of Joe. So y'all listen to my stories when I say somebody else said it. Oh, this is a very successful guy told me this, and then it resonates. So this is what I said to myself. Anything that you can do eventually, learn to do it immediately. Somebody needs to write that down. Hey, Trementia. Tree. I always say this. Whatever you can do eventually, learn to do it immediately. And by doing that, by taking that mindset, if you've ever heard of someone doing something, and you can see my hands up here, in this time frame, whatever this time frame is, be it a year, a month, 30 days, 90, whatever. If they go from here to here and it takes them whatever this time is, let's say it's a year, by doing things the way they normally do things, it takes them a year to do something. Imagine if they decided that whatever it is that I can do, if I can do it eventually, I'm going to learn to do it immediately. You know what it does as it pertains to our success, our progression from this point to this point? It shrinks the time frame. So what you can do eventually, learn to do it immediately. It collapses time frames for you. So now you might see somebody that has made the decision to win, and they say, I'm going to win at this, whatever this is, call it life, call it my finances, call it my marriage, call it my parental relationships with my children, whatever this is to us, to you, to us, right? I want to win in this. We have to get good information, and that real information, not that misinformation. And we make our decisions based on that information, and whatever we can do with that information, eventually let us implement it immediately. What it's going to do, guys, just by cause and effect, it's going to take that process and it's going to collapse the time frames. You will get it done quicker. If I have to break it down, I will break it down. I have no problems doing it. If you say, men or women, that I want to get my house clean, right? I want to clean my house. And you know exactly the steps you got to take to clean your house. If you decide, I'm going to do it the way I always do it, which is I'll do this, and then I'll take a little break, and I'll do this, take a little break, do this, take a little break, take some more breaks. I'm going to eat now because I got to eat. Got to go and run to this. Got to run some errands. All the stuff that we do in life. Here's the dirty house. Here's the clean house, right? It took us all day to do it. Why? Because what we could do eventually, we did it eventually. But imagine type B, where here's the dirty house, here's the clean house. But as opposed to saying, I know I got to do this, this, and the other, but as opposed to doing this, this, and the other, and putting time gaps in between it, I say, I'm going to do this and immediately do this. Some things while I'm doing this, while I'm finishing doing this, I'm going to start doing this. And as opposed to waiting for this, I'm going to jump and do this. Before you know it, that house is clean in a much faster time. And ladies and gentlemen, if we are 100% with ourselves, we have more time at the end of our clean house to do the things we wanted to do. That's what we do. We put it in the middle of our action. We put our entertainment or our recreation in the middle of our action when we should get the action out of the way. There's a book, and it's an old book. It's called, it was by a good friend of ours, Mr. Holton Buggs. Buggs wrote a book that was entitled, Eat the Crust First. Matter of fact, the book is entitled, Learn to Eat the Crust First. In other words, when you're eating a pie, don't just go to the good sweet part. Eat the part that ain't that sweet first. Handle your business and do the stuff that ain't really, you ain't getting a lot of fanfare. You're not getting a lot of fuzzy wuzzy unicorn feelings about butterflies floating around. It ain't gonna give you no emotional uplift to do this work, which some people call the dirty work, right? I'm not talking about doing dirt. I'm talking about doing the dirty work of whatever it might be that we know we need to do. In my case, it's getting on the phone and calling people, right? To alert people of what is going on, what's going to be changing in the markets, or asking and inquiring, hey, are you in the new year, are you looking to either buy or sell your house, And if you were looking to buy or sell, right, what realtor would you be looking to use? I'm looking for realtor referrals, guys. So I can sit back all day and know I need to get realtor referrals, or I could take some action steps, write a list of people that I know, a warm list. So when I call them, they're not tripping that I'm calling them. Matter of fact, they're pleased that Cup of Joe is reaching out to me. It doesn't matter if I haven't reached out to you in 6 months. I'm reaching out to you now. And now my intent is just to engage you for a moment, to say, hey, give you some pleasantries, because I'm genuine with it, because you're my friend or my relative. And I know I have a game plan in place. I'm making this phone call with the end game. The intent is to ascertain, if you are going to buy or sell, if you're intending to do it for this year coming up, 2024. And if they say no, it's okay. If you were to do it, Malcolm, what realtor would you be using? Oh, I would use Cindy Humphrey. She's one of the best. No, I would use Cassandra. Let's make it real. I would use Cassandra Webb. She's a great realtor, got a great rapport with her. Would you mind if I, reach out to Cassandra, and just let her know that, hey, we have a mutual friend that may be considering buying a house or selling their house in 2024. And it would be great that I could just make your connection, Miss Cassandra. What I'm saying with this is that's my due diligence. Those are calls that I have to make. So I want to do those things, because those things are, in most people's estimation, the grunt work of our industry, the grunt work of our business. Of course, everybody wants to get the news that our loan is cleared to close, and we go into our closing and we're taking pictures and posting them on Facebook, and we're doing whatever, that's great. But what about the work, the dirty work? And again, I'm not talking about doing dirt. I'm talking about doing the grunt work, the work that don't nobody see, but it's the foundation of our success. So most people don't get in the habit of doing those things. They do those things when they just absolutely, positively have no choice but to do them. But here's another wealth principle, and I learned this years ago. And the wealth principle says this: learn to do well what people, let me rephrase, I'm sorry. Train yourself to embrace and do well the things in your industry that the masses of people hate to do, and thus don't do well if they do it at all. Let me say it again. It's a wealth principle. You learn to do and embrace it. Learn to love it, right? The things, especially the little things in your industry, right, that most people hate to do, and because they hate to do it, they begrudgingly do it, if they even do it at all. So you're learning to do what most people hate to do and loathe it. And because they loathe it, they don't really do it. And they don't operate in the spirit of excellence with it. You take those things and become the best at it. Right. See, it's easy to get up on the radio for me. It's easy for me to get up on and put a microphone in front of my face and start talking. That's easy. I'm not getting paid for this. You paying me to do this, Mal?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. Nobody's paying me to be up here to dispense information. No, that's the easy part. The other part that people don't see behind the scenes is the preparation. And I don't mean the preparation for this show. I'm talking about the preparation of all the grunt work that I've been doing over the years that has helped me to build a mentality that now when I can share it, hopefully you can relate to what I'm talking about, right? And you can see some of the success that I've had in my life, right? And you would ask, well, if someone were to ask me, well, what are some of the things that you would suggest that I do to become better at this, that, or the other? That's what we're talking about. Learn to eat the crust first. Do the things that you don't really want to do, that don't move you to do, but you need to. Go ahead and do those things. And when you do them, don't do them eventually, do them immediately. Get into a habit of doing them immediately, whatever those things are, right? And then you'll get to a point, or again, the second part of this is learn to be excited and love the little mundane things that need to be done in your industry, that most people in your industry, they hate to do them. So when they do them very begrudgingly, or they don't do them at all. That's how you separate yourself from any potential competition, right? Sometimes you got to get up early and go to bed late if you want it, right? Sometimes you got to do the dirty work, even if you don't feel like it, if you really want it. I'm talking to myself. Y'all think I'm talking to you. I'm talking to me. I'm seeing myself. If you want to change your economic situation from this point moving forward, don't start eventually, start immediately. Don't do it begrudgingly. Do it with excitement. Do it with some energy, some positive energy. Because here's the beauty of what I'm talking about. And I know we got to go to halftime. The beauty of what I'm talking about is that at first it's going to feel difficult to do this thing this way, whatever this thing is, to make these small tweaks and adjustments on our thinking is what I'm talking about. It's gonna feel uncomfortable at first. But if you keep doing it and keep doing it and you keep doing it, and if you find yourself getting low mentally or emotionally, find someone, surround yourself with people that can help light that flame, right? I mean, it's just so real, guys. I got a call last night from a gentleman. He was like, Joe, I'm just getting started with an endeavor. This guy brought me into the endeavor, but these people that are all joining this endeavor, they all know me and Cindy from previous endeavors. So he had a guy last night that essentially out of Florida that was like, man, I'm excited about this. He was some of the guys excited, Joe, but he just seems to be like in his own way with this. Would you mind having a quick conversation with him? Right? It has nothing to do with the industry that we're in now. Solar. We ain't even gonna talk about that yet. It was the fact that he knows that I know mindset. I know how to have a positive mindset or to adjust my mindset for the situation that I'm getting into. So we became accountability partners to one another. He did a 3-way with the guy. Of course, we engaged, whatever little knowledge I could have given him. But what they didn't know, because their intent was not to encourage me as much as they were hoping that I would encourage the other guy. But encouraging the other guy, it encouraged me. And it was to the point that we had a 3-way encouragement love fest on that phone. What started off as what we thought was going to be a 3 to 5 minute call ended up being a 45-minute call, and time just flew because it was so positive. The energy on that phone with us 3 gentlemen who are entrepreneurial, but who were also struggling with, and I was even struggling with some of the mundane aspects of this new business venture. It really encouraged me to say, first of all, I'm not alone. And if I ever get low and my pilot light needs to be lit, I know who I can talk with. So if Rodney Williams is seeing this playback, Rod, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that three-way call we did last night energized me. It energized Phil. And I know you were energized as well. That's part of what we're talking about. We don't do this on our own. We're not trying to be an island unto ourselves. Success is a team sport, right? And I got my boy on here. Come on, Mo Heat. I got a partner. His name is Maurice Wyndham. I love this man because he's a man he's got a wonderful story. You can follow him on social media. He's got a magazine called Mo Heat, MOE Heat magazine. Mo was on here saying, "What's up, little bro? I'm briefly listening. Working on a 6-digit deal now. You rock." See, it's cats like that. That's and I bring that that up only to say that it's cats like that. He understands what I'm talking about because he has his. Not only does he have his own magazine that he's interviewing. Heck, this dude was interviewing Tupac when he was alive. You know what I'm saying? He's out in Cali from Flint, back and forth, and he's doing things on a big way and a big scale. So first of all, Mo power to you, brother. We always are continuing to pray for your strength and you're doing things, man, and it's not going unnoticed. All right. We love you, bro. So this conversation is nothing new to the circle that I choose to be within because, as my wife is saying, encouragement goes both ways. We have to surround ourselves. And if we want to make this a step two is surround yourself with people that are either doing what you want to do, going where you want to go, or are already there. Stop trying to bring people from where you are, which is broke. Let's be 100. And now you want to bring all your broke friends to your next level. And it doesn't work that way. You got to first get to your next level. And then once you're there and your feet are firmly planted in that, meaning that they're not going to pull you down with all their negative conversations and negative naysaying information that they'll be giving you. When you're firmly planted, you can reach down to them if they're inclined. But in order for them to be inclined, they must reach up to you. Let's go to halftime. Because
you down to them.
You ain't going down to them because you're building. You reach, and then certainly if they want it, they'll reach up to where you are. So let's go halftime. And I know we went a little over, but can you keep me posted, man? Is this making sense what I'm talking about, partner?
Yes, sir.
If it wasn't, would you tell me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I would probably do it off air.
Right.
I wouldn't say, Joe, you're saying the wrong thing. No, I wouldn't do that live on air.
Right.
But you're right on point. A lot of us have that habit of trying to bring up people who don't belong. Like they say, everybody can't come. Everybody can't go where you're going.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have the same mindset that you do to go where you're trying to go. And I've had that problem myself, and a lot of people do. But we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Yeah, let's go to that halftime joint, that halftime jingle.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. But for those of you who are just now tuning in, this is the Cup of Joe Morning Show. I'm going to put the flyer up on the screen so you'll know exactly what you're tuned into. This show is all about mortgage lending basics, financial wisdom, home buying strategies, relationship tips, lifestyle building, personal development, hot topics, and more. You can catch this show every Wednesday morning, every hump day morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Grab your cup of coffee, set your coffee maker at about 9:45 so it'll be good and hot at 10 o'clock. Sit down with us and have a cup of Joe on the morning show.
Let's go.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. Y'all enjoy our short jingle. We'll be right back with you.
Cup of Joe Morning Show. 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 Joe Morning Show.
All right. We're right back at it, guys. It's always that extra. Make me want to play it again, but I ain't gonna do that. But yeah, we're right back at it, guys. We definitely appreciate those who have jumped on. I always have to just check on my my peeps on my Facebook Live that we're doing, and I see that Maurice is giving some good information. Yeah, man, definitely, we're giving back, man. That's the whole thing with this. Yes, sir. I definitely will. And my wife is always on here as well, and we got some others listening in addition to Cindy and my buddy Maurice. We got Deshaun Talbert on the thing. We got Felicia Reeves, which is Lisa, Cindy's sister. Jeff Lang jumped on. Tremencia, or we call her Tree. She's on or was on. Who else we got here? My beautiful niece, Maya's mommy, is on here. We also have Marvelous Marv, beautiful sis from Michigan. I know her from Michigan. She might very well be in Georgia somewhere doing her thing. I got James B. Smith, another entrepreneurial brother that I grew up with. Cindy's cousin, Drummerhead is on here. Drummer Reels. Who else we got? My boy Tim Brown was on for a moment. I see my man Marlon Ross. Come on, man. Good grief. I didn't even see all you guys. Tracy Tyler, Chris Michelle Jones, Steve Lusk, always on giving support. Appreciate you, Steve. For show. Victoria Green, what's up, daughter? Yeah, we on here, man. Stacy Soccer, always on here supporting. Thank you, Stacy. Cuz Miles Coltrane. I got a partner, man. Miles Coltrane is Blair Renfro. I'll give you his government. But he's one of those most creative cats I think I know, man. He's, into all different types of art and photography and you name it, he's doing it. I see Margot Jones, always jumping on. Margot Jones Owens, homegirl from FNINT, is on. Big Snoop Dogg, Rick West, what's up, bro? You might have just jumped on for a moment, and I appreciate you. I know you're probably at work today. So thank you for joining us, guys. This is the second half of our show. And what we're really, talking about today is how do we, transition from one year to the next and have our new year be and meet the expectations that we would want. And again, I'm not an advocate of doing New Year's resolutions because, as we said, most New Year's resolutions fizzle out before the end of the first month of the new year. So it's not really important to do a New Year's resolution as much as it is to follow some basic principles. And to do a quick recap without getting in any kind of detail, I would say that the first thing you want to do to ensure the success of your new year is to start your new year at the end of your current month or the last end of your current year. So again, if you're going to run through the new year in an up running position, positive, doing things, making things happen, you don't wait until January 1st to do that. You start running in the quarter before and making your game plan. And if you do not have a game plan, if you have not made a game plan, I would suggest that you do so. It's better to do it late than not to do it at all, right? It's obviously better to do it on time than to do it late. But most of us, let's be real, don't do these types of things. We just don't, because we just go and we free float from year to year, hoping that things are going to be different, putting some energy towards something and hoping things are going to be different this year. But consistency is the key to these types of things, man. It's like taking vitamins, you have to do it consistently over time to get the benefits. It's the same thing with doing these mundane task. You got to do it consistently. So how do we start? We finish this year like we want next year to start, right? And we run through the new year. Another thing I think is important is we surround ourselves with people who have our answers and not necessarily our problems. In other words, accountability partners, people that can help light that flame. You know, if you find your flame getting a little dim, your motivation getting a little clouded or dim, and you don't feel as as energized to do those things, man, create a small circle of people. They don't have to be in your same business or on your same team of entrepreneurs. They can be from a totally different industry, but you know them and they know you. And quite literally, all you're doing is putting positive energy towards things, a positive spin. If I'm a little low, I can call my man. I'll call my man Marty Embry, and Marty would say, "Hey, Joe, it's all good, man. This is what's going on with me. This is what I'm thinking about doing." And his conversation, he's excited about what he's doing. His excitement and his encouragement, it literally encourages me, So I want us to start surrounding ourselves with people that have our solutions more than those who have our problems, right? And we definitely want to make the plan before the new year. We want to make it in literally, I would say, in the beginning of the fourth quarter of the current year, which would be September. We want to have our plan at least formulated, if not fully implemented. We want to have it implemented by no later than October. So we're running towards our goals starting in September, October. When December comes, man, we don't stop running and then get up and start running again. No, we just keep running. We just run straight through. And again, we're going to find ourselves separating ourselves from the masses by doing that, because the masses chill during the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Certainly, please hear me, certainly between the week of Christmas and New Year, most people are chilling. They're relaxing, taking a breather, taking a load off. Whatever colloquialism you use, that's what you're doing. You're chilling. But then you want to expect that when the calendar flips over to 2024, that all of a sudden, miraculously, things are going to just change. And we all excited about the change to the point that most of us start doing New Year's resolutions that, because there's no substance behind it, the substance being the proven activities and the energy towards doing those activities, then we try and start in January, and we fizzle out by February. So we're not going to do that. I'm not going to even mention that again, because that is obviously not the way that we're going to do it. So one of the things that I think, you got something you want to share, or were you just commenting?
No, I was just saying, yes, sir. We find ourselves a lot of the times around people who add to our problems instead of give us solutions. And I bring it to a head quick. Are you just here to add to my problems? Do you have any solutions? I hear all your complaints. Right. But do you have any solutions?
Right.
And a lot of them don't.
But listen to this, Malcolm. It doesn't even have to be like an obvious, they're causing us problems. I'm saying with this, so we won't think it's just people that's causing us, bringing problems to us. I'm saying if my problem, for instance, is I just don't have enough money at the end of the month. I got more month than I do money, right? That's a problem. I'm saying a lot of other people got that same problem. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to those other people to look for a solution to that problem. They got my same problem, but they ain't got my solution. The solution is I'm going to someone who doesn't have that problem. They don't have the issue of too much month at the end of the money. They got a whole lot more money at the end of the month. Right. And a whole lot more money at the end of the year. That lends itself to having a whole lot more money at the end of 10 years. Right. One of the biggest fears I've read that older people have is outliving their money, outliving their ability to live the lifestyle that has been established for them, because they got more life after the money. Yes. Sir. And we want to flip that. We want to flip that. We want to make sure that we have enough, not even saying just enough. We got more money than we have month, more money than we have year. And in order to do that, we got to get some best practices of people who have more money at the end of the month. or should I say more money than they have. How am I stating it?
More money than you have month.
Yeah, you still got, some of us live check to check.
Right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And in my industry, it's funny, I was just talking to a group of people about this yesterday. In my industry of real estate and mortgages, many of us live transaction to transaction and like deal to deal. But here's a strange phenomenon that's taking place in our industries. Now the deals are coming fewer and further in between.
Yes.
So we have to do some things differently because the climate in which we're operating is different, which leads me to another thing. There's an old saying, man, because I'm an old dude, man. It says, know thyself, right? Know who you are. So, and I say this very sincerely, know who you are so you can assess and be honest with yourself. I think someone mentioned that in the chat as well. You got to be honest with yourself, right? So if you know that you are not a self-starter, if you know that you're not being a self-starter has not served you well, then why continue to do the same thing and expect something different? It's not going to be different. What makes it different is the different energy, the different steps, the different thing that you do to offset what you've always done. But you have to be honest with yourself. The only reason I'm talking about this is because I'm being honest with myself. That's why I don't do New Year's resolutions, because I'm not talking about you guys fizzling it out before the first month of the year. Most people do, but I'm really speaking from personal experience, right? But I also know that there is a principle of observing the masses, but doing the opposite. If you don't know what to do, observe what everybody else is doing and just do the opposite. It's a high probability that you will find yourself doing the right things that's going to help you to change your situation, right? We call it getting the case of the DRTs. The DRTs. Get a, let me see how I can put it. Get into the mindset of doing the right things and do it in such a way that you're infectious, right? If somebody has a case of the DRTs, you know what happens, man? Anybody around them are going to catch it, right? They're going to catch the DRTs from you because guess what? When you are in a capacity and they're close to you and they see you up doing stuff, making things happen, you're writing books, you're doing shows, I got 3 CRMs going right now, collecting data and sending data to realtors. You know what I mean? The bottom line is we're doing things, man. If you get the case of the DRTs, it becomes infectious. Be around people, to my earlier point, that have that same case, right? That are doing the right things and doing what I call income generating activities when it's appropriate. What's the point of saying you're busy, but you're busy doing nothing? We've all done that. We're very, very busy. When it's time for me to make my phone calls, you know what I do? Now I'm building my list. No, man, it's not time to build the list. It's not time to build the list of the people you're going to talk to. You should have already done that. It's time to call the people that's on your list. For all you people that's out there in this industry, that's how it works. You wonder why most people in network marketing fail? You know why? Because of their mindset of trying to do things the way they've always done it, not doing things that is according to the success of people who have been incredibly successful in this thing. The top 3% do things differently. It is just no way around it. When I said the top 3% of people, I'm not talking about they're the top 3% of people. They're top 3% of income earners among the people. And then if you look at the top 1%, right, then the top 1% is doing things even at a more granular level, even more tenacious level than what we find ourselves doing. So the point is, if I'm in the 97 percentile, that is likened unto the masses. If I want to get out of that, observe what they do. Around Christmas, they always chilling. Around from Christmas to New Year's, they always just relaxing, right? They're doing all this energy towards their New Year's resolution, and they started January 1st. That's what the masses do. Observe what they do and then do the total opposite. It'll help you if you don't know specifically what to do. At least now you'll know what not to do.
Yes, sir.
Because if you do what the masses are doing, you're going to get the results that the masses are getting.
Yes, sir.
If you do what the 3%, and if you want to know what the 3% income earners are, what categorizes them, they're just merely income earners that earn six-figure income. The top 3% of income earners in America are income earners who earn six-figure income. If you want to earn a six-figure income, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what business you have, doesn't matter what endeavor it is. There are going to be some principles that's in that scheme of being in that counted in that number. It's going to be some activities, some mindset, some things, some do's and don'ts that if you adopt those do's and don'ts, right, you can start getting the same results that they've gotten. And then you'll find yourself counted in the number of the 3%. And it's the same when you're looking at the 1%. The 1% of people who are the top income earners in the United States, they're making over $250,000, a minimum of $250,000 a year. And of course, upwards to millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. It's a small number of those people. In order to be counted in that number, we have to observe if you don't know what to do or what they've done to get to where they are, all you have to do is observe what the masses, the people around you are doing. If they themselves are nowhere near successful and you ain't trying to trade places with them, I'm not saying even engage them. Just watch it. Be very circumspect. Look around you. Know yourself, but know your environment as well. Right? Which is another thing, guys. This is a time of year that a lot of people in the networking industry or people who are business minded are looking towards what can I do different this year? And they're looking for different types of opportunities. Right? Here's what I've learned about this. It's a time of the year that most people are very interested in hearing about what you got going on. What are you planning on doing, Joe? What do you got going on? I got people that call me every year. I don't talk to them. And this is real talk, man. I may not talk to them all year long, but we find ourselves on the phone around this time of the year. They might be just checking on me. I'm checking on them to see how the family's doing. You know, sometimes we might even have a word of prayer with one another. But the bottom line that always happens is like, Joe, what you got going on? What are you planning on launching? I got friends that ask me that. I got a friend that texted me one day. He's like, I know you about to do something. I saw you change your banner on Facebook, and I put my Cup of Joe banner on Facebook, right? He immediately texted me and said, yep, I know you about to launch something. What you got going on? Because it is the atmosphere at the end of the year that most people are open to hear opportunities and things that, because they're sick and tired of what they've gotten for 2023. So they're open in this time frame. But unfortunately, those same people are in a state of lethargy because they're doing what they've always done. They've always chilled during this year. So even though they're open, they're still vetting everything through the filter of their likes and their dislikes. And let me share a thought with you. If someone gave me an opportunity, right, to make $1 million with cat food, I have no interest in cat food. I don't own a cat. I don't even like cats. But ladies and gentlemen, hear what I'm trying to tell you. From a business standpoint, it makes no personal difference to me if I like cats, if I own a cat. It's misinformation in this regard to think you've got to love the thing that you're doing that's earning you money in order to earn you money. It is a lie from the gates of Hades, because the truth and the evidence that it is a lie is that many people hate their jobs. They hate their job. They hate going, be it the traffic they got to deal with, the coworker they got to deal with, that double SOB they got to deal with, AKA the boss. They don't like that. But yet they go to that job that just over broke, that jump out of bed every single day. They gear and formulate activities in their life. The lifestyle, your things you do for recreation is based on your job. Many people aren't thinking about going to Dubai. You know why? Because their job doesn't lend itself to a thought of, I got extra money that I can now take a trip to Dubai. We can take as opposed to, you know, having I don't know, fireworks and shooting off a gun on New Year's. Me and Cindy want to be on the French Riviera. I mean, you know, those are things that people are doing, but most people aren't thinking about doing those things because everything that we do is around the circle that encompasses our ability, our financial bandwidth, and our financial bandwidth is determined by our job. We don't like it, but we do it because we trust it. So why do people, and here's another thing, it's a dynamic. Why do people who want something and need something, if it doesn't fit what they're accustomed to, in other words, it's not a job, they reject it? Well, I'm here to tell you that's part of the issue with most people. Successful people, as I mentioned earlier, listen, this is the old saying, and I like to bring old sayings up because I'm old. And the reason that I say they're old is because who cares about a new saying that has not stood the test of time and proven itself to be actually wise? So I don't want to be talking all that slick talk. No, I'm going to talk stuff that's based on principle, that's got some girth and some experience behind it. There's an old saying, man, two of them, right? That the cave entrance that gives you the most fear and trepidation is oftentimes the same cave entrance that once you get beyond your fear and trepidation, that cave itself holds the greatest blessing for you. It is literally your answered prayer is beyond this cave. In this cave, beyond this entrance. But many of us, because we get so caught up in the introduction or the entrance, so we reject it. I'm not going in there because it makes me feel a certain way. I feel uncomfortable in sales. I don't like to sell nothing. Most people that have a home-based business, being truthful, they don't even want to work, as if the component of work is somehow, if it's not, you know what I'm trying to say? I hate to be this way, y'all. I ain't trying to spank nobody. I'm just telling you what I know is true. Most people who are looking for money making activities and opportunities are looking for something that doesn't require them to work, doesn't require them to do something different. And why? Think about it. Why is it that nothing changes? Because here it is. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. If you want change, you've got to do something different. Here's what change is, and you can write this down. I said it in the previous show, but I think it's applicable now. Change, as an acronym, CHANGE, is choose happiness and never give excuses, because you cannot make money and make excuses in the same space. They cannot coexist. Either you're going to make an excuse, it automatically defaults you where you ain't going to make money in that thing. Or if you're going to do what it takes to make the money, you can't get to that money making place if you're making excuses on why you can't. And we all have valid reasons on why we can't do something or we don't want to do something. Guys, it could be fear, right? It could be laziness. It could be, again, that you're that dog on that nail, but it ain't hurting bad enough. All the moaning and complaining you're doing, it's just not hurting you bad enough. People ask, okay, what do you do when you start a business, when you start an opportunity? I think I'm on a different topic, but I think it's the same topic, right? They always tell you to develop and establish your why, right? Your why is, why am I going to get up out of bed with bushy tail and bright eyes to do this thing, to attack this thing? What's going to get me through the doldrums of doing this? I remind myself of why I'm doing it. See, why is, most people say it's what hurts you, right? That's an acronym. What hurts you? It hurts having more month at the end of the money, right? My money ran out on November 23rd, but I still got 7 more days in November but I'm out of money. So I got more a month than I do money. That hurts. You want to change that. Now you've gotten something, you've agreed that choose happiness and never give excuses. Now I'm going to take on an opportunity to do something different, right? If you don't let your why drive you, it will hold you captive. If you do not establish what hurts you, what's going to make you moaning dog, get up off this nail. If you don't establish that, you're going to be the one that's going to be on that nail moaning on the porch like that old dog. And I'm not referring to anybody, not that I need to say this, but I'm not referring to anybody as an old dog, but I'm simply saying the analogy is that's what we are. We're literally stuck in our ways, stuck on the porch, sitting on a nail that makes us that makes us uncomfortable. But we're not so uncomfortable that we get up off the nail. That's really the moral of the story with the old dog and the old man. He said when he gets tired enough, he'll get up off that nail. He ain't moaning all the time. He's just moaning when he goes in that one spot. Mm-hmm. Right? See, we ain't moaning all the time. We just moaning when we're in a financial tight spot. That's the only time we moan a lot, but we're really moaning when we're sitting on that nail. That nail is likening to you ain't got no money in your bank account. You just got a NSF charge. You know what I'm saying? They told you they're gonna come repo your car. Your cable got cut off. Your internet got cut off. That's the pain. That's the nail. And while we're on that nail, we're like that dog. We're moaning and complaining about it because that's the nature of it. We feel the pain of the immediate situation and we're moaning and complaining about it. But someone else comes and say, hey man, you do realize there's a pack of dogs out there that you can go run with. Might even help you get more in shape, little old dog. Right? You might even find a Mrs. Little Doggy out there if you just get up off that porch. But at the same time, as a business person, I know that all dogs ain't meant to be running with the pack. Some dogs just gonna stay their little butt on the porch. And we used to say, man, if you can't run with the big dog, do what? Stay on the porch. I take that mentality when it comes to business. Everybody is not a big dog, right? You know something about little dogs? They bark like they big dogs. You know, the little person always talks a big game. If you know anybody like that, don't tag them. But they're out there. Little dogs ain't got much of a bite, but they barking real loud, like into a chihuahua mentality, right? I'm not running with chihuahuas if I know what I'm out there to fight are wolves, because that chihuahua is they're going to pick their teeth with that chihuahua, right? I ain't going to go to a fight with a bunch of big dogs and take a bunch of little dogs and thinking they're going to be in this fight with me. And the fight we're talking about is a fight for our financial freedom. The fight is for us being able to change our family situation, right? Whatever hurts us, we got to identify that. But don't allow that to be the impetus of us staying where we are, making excuses on why we can't change, right? We can. It's just got to hurt us bad enough that we now are reminded. That's my why. I don't like seeing the look on my wife's face when we can't do the things that I know she wants and deserves to do. That's right. And it's not eating or eating out, and it ain't none of that little stuff. All that stuff is covered by the grace of God. I'm talking about wanting to go somewhere to be with your family on a holiday, and we got to make a decision on whether or not we can make that trip, because to get this ticket, the ticket's going to cost $1,000. And though we might have it, we don't have it for that. And I know the disappointment. That's my why. I want to make it where it doesn't matter what time of the day when we schedule, to go somewhere. I want to be able to have my wife and I go anywhere we want to go when we want to go. You know, one of our goals, and I'll just share it, put it out there in the atmosphere, is to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the same day in 3 different European countries. And it's possible, guys. It's absolutely possible, because you can eat breakfast in Germany, right? Have lunch in Italy, and then have dinner in Paris, France. How I know that? Because those countries are so close together. It's not like you got to go and, it's possible. But how is that made possible? Well, because this thing here, my income that circulates around all of my lifestyle activities, right? It dictates what I can do. So if going to Paris, Milan and Frankfurt all in one day cannot be done within the scope of this circle, which is my income, then they're just dreams that we have, right? But one of the bigger things I want to say here now is that we have to expand our circle. If we listen, it is nothing wrong with having a job. I would be a hypocritical idiot to tell you there's something wrong with having a job, because I have a job, right? But I will tell you this, guys, and hear my heart. There is something wrong if you're doing all this stuff, all this talking that you want better. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to make better for your wife, better for your husband, better for your children, better for your grandchildren. And all you have is a job. As if that job is going to do and supply all that. No, you're working that job is supplying all that for the owner of the business. That's why they're always flying out. That's why they're always, and their family are having the best of things, because you're sowing in their vineyard. Why not get your own vineyard, right? Why not get your own thing that you can do that can impact your family's wealth, right? But we're in a mindset, and we're going to do a show on this. We're going to talk about mindset. I mean, literally. And it's got to be soon, because this is a time of year that I think people are more keenly aware of it, because they know that they want something different, right? So if you want something different, we got to be willing to do something different, guys. I'm hoping that what we're talking about now at least gets our minds working towards what things can I do differently, right? So with that, listen, I also want to share a thought here. Give me a second. Let us do this, guys. And we've talked about it already. It's just strong on my heart to mention it now. Stop asking people for advice who do not have your answers. That's like dipping a bucket in some dirty water and thinking that just because I dipped the bucket, that somehow the water in my bucket is going to be cleaner than the water the pool I just dipped from. If I don't want the same thing that's in that pool, I am not going to dip into that pool. I'm not going to dip my bucket into that pool of that body of water, because all I'm going to get is what's in that body is going to be in my bucket, right? So I don't want to seek advice. I don't care who the person is. I'm not going to seek advice from someone who I do not want to get the results that they have. I just don't want to do that, because I know the principle. Garbage in, garbage out. It doesn't matter who they are. You gotta learn to surround yourself with people that have, again, your answers and not your problems, right? So I know we got a lot of activity going on. That's a lot of that activity is you, dude. I see that now. I said, man, somebody's chiming in. Malcolm Jackson don't be playing when it comes to this social media, guys.
Gotta boost it.
He will keep you informed, keep you boosted. But I hope this is making sense and is resonating. Now I'll share this with you. I am going to do a program on something that just came to me, and Malcolm, my brother Malcolm, knows a bit about it because we talked about it briefly, right? I was approached by a good friend, again, very successful dude, and essentially he asked me something. He says, Joe, what do you know about solar? Like solar panels is what he was talking about. And I was like, not a whole lot, and I told him what I knew, which my across the street neighbor got solar. And, when he saw me out in the yard, when he was actually getting it installed, he came over about 3 years ago. He came over and basically, was really excited about, the solar panels and why he was getting it. It was going to save him all this money and this, that, and the other. He's like, Joe, man, your house is even bigger because we got a 2-story. He has a single story. He said, man, I know your electric bills are through the roof around this time, because he got it done in the summer. And he wasn't lying. Our electric bills at the time was easily $400 or $500 a month, because we're running, 2 ACs, one for upstairs and one for downstairs. So our bills are typically, in the summer when we're running them, pretty high. So he was basically saying, take a look at it. And I said, okay, man, I'll take a look. And, he was getting a referral fee, I'm sure, from the guy who sold him the panels. But the guy who sold him the panels came by the next day, right? It was during a time where I was out in the yard planting flowers. Anybody that knows me and saying that we like to beautify our yard, it was during the time that we were doing that, leading up to the summer. And I talked with the guy, and I just, not that I didn't like, if anybody were to ask me and if I was honest, I would say I don't like solar panels. And the reason wasn't the solar panels. I didn't know enough about them. I didn't like the pushy salesperson. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody come knocking on my door, to try and sell me something, though people do that, right? And I don't have any, I'm not speaking against that. I used to do that. I worked for Xfinity back in the day. And I was on the street team, the door knocking team, So I don't come against it, but it's just the way he was coming up, I just didn't get with it. So when my buddy was asking me, I was like, man, okay, what are you trying to tell me? What do you, get to the point with it? And he was like, what else do you know about it? I said, well, not a whole lot, He said, why don't you watch a couple of videos? I'm going to share some insights with you. Listen, guys, I say this to say this. If I would have taken the approach that most people, the masses take, I would have been like, man, I'm not interested in that. Man, not only do I have my mortgage office that I'm operating, and the books we're writing, and the realtors we're trying to attract, that we're looking to attract, man, I'm looking to bring on new loan officers next year. I'm not in a position to look at anything, because actually I wasn't in a position to look at anything, but I know the principle. Don't tell a successful person no before you know what they offering, what they're talking about. And unfortunately, many of us have never been gifted or went to school on business evaluation. We don't know how to evaluate a business. How do we evaluate a business? How does it make me feel when I hear about it? It's likened into that cave that gives you the most fear and intrepidation, being the one that has the biggest blessing for you. But because we're emotionally driven, we reject it. We say N-O before we K-N-O-W. That is just not a good principle. So the point is, when he said it, I was like, okay, of course I'll look into it. And I just reminded him, just so he'll know, because I'm going to give him a soft no. That's what I'm thinking. And he said something to me. He said, Joe, once you see this and understand what's happening, right? Okay, my man Sam Bean is texting me. He says, once you see this and understand the trends that's happening, and he knows me well enough, he knows that we know trends, right? I was in a coffee company, Malcolm, and people were thinking, well, you're going to do what? You're going to sell coffee online? How the heck are you going to sell coffee online? Because coffee wasn't necessarily at the time being sold online, but there was a very wise person that basically said, if you are a business owner, and by the year 2015, if your business is not online, you're going to be out of business, right? I knew that principle. That was Warren Buffett who said that. Warren Buffett said this in the 90s, that or the latter part of the 90s, if your business is not online, you're going to be out of business by the year 2015. Because the trend is everything is going online. It's going from what we call brick and mortar to click and order. And it's expansive now, as opposed to selling whatever. I don't have to rely on foot traffic to my single location. I can go online, have a .com business. I got my foot traffic coming through, which is minimal. And even if it is a lot of foot traffic, it's relegated to the proximity of my locale, right? But if I go and have an online presence, now my products and services and goods can be moved well beyond my scope of my local the proximity of my local establishment. That was the wisdom that Warren Buffett was speaking on. So the point is, when someone talked to me in 2010, right, about joining an organization that's going to move a healthier version of coffee online, I immediately said to myself, I am not a coffee drinker. Why would I care about that, Malcolm? Because I'm not a coffee drinker. It's likened to what I was saying a moment ago. If somebody told me, hey, Joe, I can help you set up a business. where the product we're going to move is cat food, right? The average person will say, I don't own a cat. I don't like cats. So I don't see myself doing anything with cat food. Well, what this guy told me is that, Joe, do you think the owner of Purina eats his own product? That he has to have a cat? That he has to be a cat lover? He's a business person. So what he understands is there are millions upon millions. Hear this again, y'all. Millions of people who own cats. So guess what they need for their cat? They need cat food. You're just supplying what their need is. It's not about your love for cats. It wasn't about my love for coffee. And what's so crazy, they were calling me Cup of Joe, Malcolm, before, or I was calling myself Cup of Joe, before I got into this coffee business. But eventually it became a moniker that to this day, it sticks because that coffee business became a $1 billion brand. And the concept of selling coffee online became a reality. So I know trends. I'm experienced what I'm saying with trends. So when the guy told me about solar panels, of course I was not initially interested, but I know the principles. I wasn't going to shut him down. I was going to hear him out. In other words, I'm not going to say no until I know KNOW what I'm saying no to. And before we got off the phone, he said something to me. He says, Joe, when you see this, not if you see it, he says, when you see this, you are not going to be able to sleep for the next few days. And I was like, yeah. I love you, bro, but I've heard that speech before. Well, after getting off the phone with him and checking things out, doing my vetting, I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I'm not going to get deep into it right now, guys, but understand that solar is the future of clean energy, renewable energy. Okay. And just so you know, all the misnomers and all the misinformation that comes with solar, because I talked to several people in the last 5 days about this. And some people, no disrespect to them, but some people are so negative that if you put them in the dark room, they would develop. That's how negative they are. Right. And they don't even know they're being negative. I had a guy who was just trying to protect me, telling me, don't do it, man. Whatever you do, Joe, don't do that. Because he was thinking I was going to just buy him for myself and my family. He didn't know that I was looking to put together an enterprise within an industry. Right. So he was saying, no, don't do it. This, that, and the other, and all this negative stuff. And I listened to him because, again, I'm not going to, he's trying to help. But I just, politely said, thank you for your time. I appreciate your input. But I got off the phone with him and I literally, like a seal, let all that negativity wash right off my back and don't let it stick because it's not useful. It ain't like he and I are in some kind of situation I can take that negative energy and use it as fuel. No, it was just his opinion. I let it go off my back like a seal. But the point is, I saw the vision of something that's going to happen anyway. Here's wealth principle number 1501. If something is going to happen anyway, and I'm talking about something like a big boom of business, right? They say the solar right now, it's like 3% of homeowners in America have solar. The federal government, the US government has set a target for 2035. So, which in the next 11 years, they want to bump that 3% well above 40%. So they're giving incentives to homeowners. I'm a mortgage guy, so I know about these things, right? So I'm hearing about this tax credit from the federal government for solar panel, and it's not just solar panels, it's for cleaner renewable energy. That's the push, because we are killing the planet with our emissions, our fuel emissions, how we burn stuff. We're burning coal and we're burning oil, and come on, y'all, electricity is just really, it's a big topic. Global warming is real, y'all. Okay. We can say we don't want to talk about it because we're selfishly thinking by the time it happens, we're going to be gone. Well, our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will still be here. What type of world are they going to be inheriting if we don't change some of the things that we're doing? The federal government is giving homeowners a 30% tax rebate, a tax credit in whatever year you get solar panels. Man, in some instances, that pays for the solar panels. But there's so much, again, misinformation that we're thinking. I was thinking that if I get solar panels, I'm going to have two bills now. I'm going to have a solar bill and I'm going to have a electricity bill. And that's not how it works. It's replacing one with the other. The electricity is coming from a source. Solar, and let me say, it's coming from a source that we have to pay for. They charge us for electricity, and you need electricity. Tell me, Malcolm, yes or no, or yes or yes. Can you live the next 10 years without electricity?
No, sir.
I mean, who's going to do that? You're going to light candles? You're going to cook with,
No,
with wood? No. So we know we need electricity. The old way is getting it from a utility company. And I'm not going to talk bad about utility companies, but utility companies, especially when they have monopolies, they can charge whatever. They can have rate hikes or whatever. They know you need their service, so they can do it to your chagrin. They can do it. I don't care how much you hate it. You can hate us to life, hate us to death, but guess what you're going to do? Unless you want to light candles for the rest of your life. You are going to pay whatever we tell you you're going to have to pay.
That's right.
Right? So what I've learned and what I'm learning is solar is free. The sun is emitting certain energy that's free. It's called solar energy. It's clean. It's no byproducts of solar energy, guys. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to sell nobody on solar. I'm just telling you what I know. And this is part of how I'm going to close out my show today. I'm going to talk about this and plant the seed in some of you people's minds that when you hear about it, you're going to say, well, damn, I heard Cup of Joe talking about that, right? Oh, I saw that on Facebook. I saw an ad that came across my Facebook talking about if you get solar, if you're a homeowner, the federal government will give you a 30% tax break. Well, think about that. If you're a household that earns $100,000 in a year, a 30% tax break is equivalent to now taking away $30,000 off your taxable income. That's going to save you money. And the fact that you're switching from and converting from an expensive, antiquated way of heating and lighting your house to a cleaner way that's much, well, solar, just so you know, is not only is it cheaper, right? Solar itself is free. What do we pay for the sunshine of the day, Malcolm?
$0.
$0.00, right? But if we have these panels that take in the sun, the solar panels, yeah, we got to pay for the panels. Of course we do. And then what I found out as well, we still need that utility company, but we don't need that utility company for the utilities, which means their electricity. We need to plug into the grid. So we still have a connection fee to that utility company. But what I found is that the connection fee is between $8 and $22 a month, though our bills were $450 a month. Let that sink in for a second. Right. So there's people who are going solar because it makes their electricity bill go down. Now, the panels might cost them $100, $200 a month. But guess what? It's fixed for. Imagine if you could get if you can get gasoline when the price of gasoline was $1.50 a gallon, and you could get that locked forever. So if it goes up to $2.95, you don't care. Why? Because you're locked in at $1.50. If it goes up to $4, which it did, you talking about people in California, and I'll talk about California because guess what happened in California when it comes to solar? The California legislature made it mandatory that every new house built from 2021 on has to have solar panels because California is an emissions conscious state, right? The air in California just feels better, y'all. Come on, let's be real. It just does. If you've ever been to California, it's something about Cali, but I think it has a lot to do with the emissions rules. It has a lot to do with they want to make sure that they're preserving and protecting the environment. So they make laws in California that's applicable to those things. So when I found out that the Californians, by law, and homeowners, you get a house built from when they passed that law in 2021, you have to go solar. It ain't even a choice. Here's with us in Texas, we don't have a choice. In Michigan, we don't have a choice that we're going to have to pay electricity. The choice is now let's get educated on the benefits of converting to a new, cleaner energy source. And when it comes to heating our house, cooling our house, lighting our lights, solar is a whole lot cheaper, a whole lot cleaner. And for those who are in the business of solar, it's incredibly, can I say it twice? Incredibly lucrative without being predatory, meaning that it's not like you're targeting people to make a whole bunch of money on them. Not that. It's so many incentives right now to do it that the companies that are out there, and it's thousands, thousands of solar companies popping up all over. And hear this, y'all. If you're hearing this for the first time, but you don't really think about it, all you got to do is think about how computers were back in the 90s, how cell phones were back in the day. Now everybody got a cell phone. Everybody got a computer. And if you don't know, your computer is your cell phone is a computer in and of itself. You can do stuff on this thing right here that computers couldn't even do in the year 2010. Now we're doing it from our cell phone. I make music tracks for this company, for this radio station from my cell phone. Imagine if I would have been the dude that was so close-minded that they were talking about cell phones. I would be like, man, I don't want one. That's of the devil. It's gonna give you cancer of the ears. I mean, whatever people were saying about cell phones. The reason I didn't say that because I was one of the first people in my circle that had a cell phone. I had a cell phone in my car when it was known as a car phone. So when I pulled up and I was on my phone, it was one of those big long phones, Malcolm. And they see me I look like what's the dude? Private Eye.
I had one too.
Magnum Private Eye. So I say all this, guy, to say that we have to be more progressive and we cannot go by our own likes and dislikes and interest and disinterest when it comes to earning income. What this last thing I'll say, we'll close out here. What we should focus on is a need-based initiative. If we're gonna vet a business, if we're gonna vet an opportunity to earn extra income, because if I ask by a show of hands, how many people can use some extra income? You can get extra income by getting more money, or you can get extra income by saving more money. At the end of the month, you'll have more money than month by either making more or paying less. And it's a God-given fact that if you do both, you're going to be that much better off. So we got Jen Ty Keenum is saying, will homeowners insurance cover expenses? Does the insurance rate go up or lower with transition from electric? Great question. And from my understanding, Jen, is no. For your first question, will homeowners insurance cover the expenses? No, it's not that type of situation. And does the insurance rate go up? No, it certainly doesn't affect any of your homeowners' insurance rates. What it will do, right? It'll switch when and my wife and I we are in the process of doing this as well. So we're not telling somebody to do something that we ourselves are not looking to do. Now that I'm getting more information and getting, what do we call it? The correct information and not misinformation. Now I'm looking at it from a totally different perspective. That's why I couldn't sleep, right? Because the first reason I couldn't sleep, Jen, is because I had to do my own research. I had to research a little bit about what the government is doing, a little bit about the industry itself. And the industry is full of a whole bunch of, and I don't want to say this negatively, but it's just what it is, a whole bunch of amateurs, door knocking, young people knocking on your door because they want to get it out there. And I get it, but a lot of people are being turned off by the method that they're getting the information. So we have found an organization, a company that happens to be the number one company in solar, who partnered with a marketing company that says, hey, solar is the future, but you need to market it better. And going door to door is not the way to do it. It's just not, because the solicitation that you guys are doing, it devalues people's estimation and perception of solar, because they tie it together. They don't want to engage somebody at their front door. So if that's the only way they're going to get the information on solar, they'd rather not even get the information. So this company has a very creative educational platform on how to educate people that on solar, right? And one of the things that we found is that a lot of the things that people are talking about are not true any longer. For instance, people were telling me, Malcolm, just last week, that if you have solar panels in your house and you sell your house, right? Or before you sell your house, if you have solar panels in your house and you're paying on those solar panels and you miss the payment on the solar panel, that they can put a lien against your property. They cannot do that. There's laws to protect you from that, because there was, remember people were getting windows, home improvement done.
Yes.
They were going to Anderson Windows and they were going to Sears and Roebuck. That was back in Michigan, was big, selling you windows. If you didn't pay on the windows, they didn't come and take the windows back. What they would do is put a lien against your property, right? On your title, it would be, Anderson Windows, and it would be more than what your contract was. Why? Because they had to go through a legal process and they paid the lawyer. So they got their fees, all the late fees, plus all the attorney legal fees, and they smack it onto the title of your house. And now you can't sell your house now. You can't refinance it unless you pay that off. That is against regulatory policies now. You can't do that. So that's a misnomer. That's misinformation. The persons aren't saying it out of like they're just trying to throw shade. They just don't know that the laws have changed, right? So to Jen's point, HOAs don't have any, or homeowners insurance, I should say, has no bearing on what you're doing as far as no cellular or solar or electricity company. They don't care about that. But just know, we'll do a deeper dive on this. I think I'm going to do a program, and hear what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get you all to join my organization. My organization, the beauty of it is we only need like 5 or 6 people. And literally, well, I can tell you, you can become a darn near a millionaire with 5 people. And that's a fact. That's why I couldn't sleep. In order to become a coffee millionaire, I had to have hundreds and thousands of people in an organization and all doing the same thing. And you get that synergy, and now these big checks are coming. Yeah, that stuff. I don't do network marketing anymore. I just don't. It's viable, but it's not for 57-year-old Joe. I'm not with it, but something like this, I can bless and help a whole bunch of people, and the first thing we're going to do is we have to educate them on what solar in this case is not. Okay. And then say what it is and how it could benefit you. And it certainly benefits you by lowering your monthly expense for utilities. That's just what it does. There's no secret. And when you take that savings over time, it gets ridiculous. It becomes a no-brainer, right? And this company does free energy evaluation. So I just gave them my phone bill, and within 48 hours, they said, okay, Joe, I want to explain what our findings are. And all they asked me to do, no obligation. They just asked me to commit to 15 minutes of getting all my questions answered, but I know they're saving me a whole bunch of money, because I know, especially in Texas, me and my wife are paying, does anybody remember the heat wave that went over in the nation?
Yes, sir.
Second question. Do anybody remember in Texas when the grid broke down?
Yes,
and
sir.
it was so cold that the grid broke down and people were without power for sometimes weeks, days and weeks.
Yes, sir.
That was a telltale sign.
I'll never forget.
It was a telltale sign that something needs to change. So I'll say this: the federal government is stepping in and incentivizing us to go solar. And what these greedy utility people are doing, they have already stated, hear this, y'all, and I'm speaking from the southwest quadrant of the United States, that our bills, our utility bills, meaning our electric bills, are going to spike in the next 12 to 18 months. And when they say spike, they're saying they're going to double, and in some instances, triple. Now, if I'm just talking crazy and you don't believe anything I'm saying, then that's fine. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to happen anyway. You know what I mean? Because I'm not the source of the information. I'm just one who's letting you know that I studied on this for the short time. It don't take a long time to get on the internet and find these things out. Statistically, they're saying that in the next 12 to 18 months, where we live now is going to cost 2 to 3 times more for electricity. Well, it makes sense why the federal government knows that by the year 2035, that number of 3% of homeowners is going to go to 40 to 50% of homeowners in America are going to have solar as an alternative to the basic electricity, because electricity is much more expensive and it's going up. And it's really held by these utility companies. In most instances, they have the monopoly, so they can charge you whatever. Because first of all, if inflation wasn't real, what I'm saying is false, right? And if secondly, if you, like Malcolm and I, don't want to and choose not to live and illuminate our house with candles, then we know we're going to have some type of source of energy that's going to light our lights and keep our home warm and cold in the appropriate times of the year. It is no thing that we can do about it. It is what it is. The only thing we can do about it is make a decision to say, okay, if you're going to try and rape me with this dirty energy that I've always had, and I've had to pay whatever you're going to charge me, I now have another alternative. And that's what solar represents. And it's going to really be big, guys. So you heard it first here, if you didn't hear it at all, that it's something that is going to cause for a lot of people to go from zero to multimillionaire status in the next, I think, 10 years. It's the same thing we knew about the .com when the internet came out. They told us this new thing is going to cause for a lot of people to go from being nowhere to being multimillionaires, if not billionaires. And during that .com season, if y'all think about it, when all the .com online businesses came out, we got people now that literally are billionaires. Mark Cuban from the Dallas Mavericks is part of that. He became a billionaire during the .com time when people, utilize the technology of the internet and computers to formulate businesses. And again, go from brick and mortar, to click and order was the way that they were going to get there. And they did. And we can look back and say, now it's a bunch of people that got rich off that. But guess what we didn't do? Get rich off of it. Because being poor is not the fact that you ain't got money. POOR is an acronym, POOR, passing over opportunities repeatedly or routinely. And in some of our case, religiously. And we wonder why we stay in the same situation year after year, being that moaning dog on the porch, not out there doing anything in the field, making it happen or trying to make it happen, whatever the case. We're on the porch, not doing anything, but moaning and complaining because we're in pain because our car is getting repoed or our house is in foreclosure or this is happening or that's happening. This dog is getting up off that, straight up, getting up off that nail and running with the pack of dogs, because those dogs have, as a dog, my answers and not my problems. Appreciate you guys for your attention. I am Cup of Joe. I'm ending it right here, but we're going to get into this deeper in the subsequent weeks. And my man Sam Bean is going to join us. And listen, you think I got some things going on with my mindset. When you meet one of my mentors, I think you'll see where some of this comes from. All right. So I'm Cup of Joe. This is the Cup of Joe morning show every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock Central. Let's just do this, man. We ain't got to recap. Let's just cut it down, play that joint, and let's move on, and we'll be good. See you back here, same bat time, same bat station, Real Talk 100 Radio. Peace.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Instagram. Thank y'all for tuning in. Instagram. I wanted to do something different this morning and make sure we get plenty of exposure on all social media platforms. So I'm doing my best octopus routine, because you got to do a lot of hand movements and things to get these programs posted all over the world. So I'm utilizing Instagram this morning. I'm utilizing Facebook this morning. I'm utilizing Twitter this morning. I'm utilizing several different platforms. Even LinkedIn will get some of this shortly. So if you're a business owner and you are interested in this show, you love the show this morning, this show is about a lot of different things, y'all. He talked a lot about this.
I don't want to recap.
He does not want to recap. That's okay. I just want Instagram to know exactly what we are, because you have questions coming in on Instagram. It is the end of the show, Miss Ice. Please contact Joe Methodius Humphrey on Facebook. Joe Methodius Humphrey on Facebook, and she wants to know how it's cheaper. Contact him directly. Send him a friend request at Joe Methodius Humphrey. I'm going to end the Instagram account now. Thank y'all, but I want y'all to tune in every Wednesday morning, every hump day morning to the Cup of Joe Morning Show and learn more about solar energy, learn more about mortgage lending, personal development, and much, much more. If you're thinking about buying a new home, this is a great show to listen to. We'll see y'all next Wednesday night and every Wednesday night from here on the Cup of Joe Morning Show on Real Talk 100 Radio. Thank y'all for joining, and good day.
Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show.